Hi, this is Congressman Tom Cole, the 4th District of Oklahoma. It's another one of our weekly congressional chats. This has been a pretty extraordinary week in Congress, and most of it, frankly, very, very good. This week we were able to pass through both houses of Congress, or actually through just the House. We passed last week through the Senate, a collection of appropriations bills that finished funding the government in all but one specific area. We'll talk about that in a minute. But just to set the table, there's 12 bills that actually fund the government of the United States. It's enormously important in our district where you've got Tinker Air Force Base, Fort Sill, you've got the Kerr Water Labs in Ada, you've got the National Weather Center in Norman. So federal facilities employ so many people that live in our state, and particularly in the 4th District, and securing funding for them was exceptionally important. That means between now and September 30th, everybody's pay is taken care of, their benefits are taken care of, important services are provided to the country, they're important in defending the country, they're important in our everyday lives. When you get to something like the Weather Center, we all count on that for really life-saving information every single day. Kerr Water Labs, a leading groundwater research area, very important in providing assured water supply. Most people don't know this, but half the water that Americans consume is subsurface, so making sure that's safe is good. I can go on and on about the different things that are important in general, but again, a lot of very specific things important to Oklahoma. For instance, in Norman, we secure in these legislation an additional $17+ million of investment at Westheimer Airfield, so we can continue that as an economic and transportation hub that contributes to Oklahoma. That's one of the few airports owned by a university. University of Oklahoma owns the airport, so we work very closely with President Harris and his team there in getting that done. And I could go town after town, water projects, road projects, additional investments in other airports in Ada and other parts of the district. So there are a lot of specific things that we've worked on with these local communities for years that are coming into fruition in these bills. So that was a great accomplishment. It was bipartisan. We passed the bill. We didn't get every single Republican. 21 voted against it, but we got 21 Democrats, including my counterpart, the ranking member of the full Appropriations Committee, Rosie DeLauro, who honestly was a great partner in this and working through how we could pass these bills and make sure that we didn't have a government shutdown. Now, we actually did briefly have a government shutdown. If you recall, the Senate finished this last week, sent it over to the House. The House was not in session, was on break, and so actually from about, I guess it would have been Friday, from whatever the last day of January was, until we passed this earlier this week, which was on Tuesday, the government was shut down. And fortunately, it was so short, most people didn't notice it. People kept working because we had an assurance that we thought we could get this passed. The president immediately signed it. I got to go to the signing ceremony with the president. That's always a treat, and he was certainly happy to make sure the government was up and running. He was instrumental in helping us pass this legislation. He supported every single bill of the 12 bills and worked to help us get the votes in Congress that we needed. So hats off to the president for doing that. Hats off to my Democratic colleagues who crossed the aisle to help us in some of this, and I know that was difficult for them to do in some cases. The remaining area that remains to be funded is Homeland Security. That's pretty important. It's not a huge part of the budget. It's about 5% of all federal spending, but it covers some pretty important areas, some of which are already taken care of. I know there's been a lot of controversy around Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE as it's called, but we should call it what it is. It's Immigration and Customs Enforcement. There's a lot of folks that want to go back to open borders. The Border Patrol is funded in this legislation. I don't want to go back to open borders. I think one of the great successes of the president and the administration has been to cut off illegal entries into the United States. Literally for the last 4 months, we do not know of a single person that's entered the country illegally. Now, I'm sure somebody has. It's a big country, and how you can defend every inch of this. But you know, we were averaging thousands and thousands a day during the Biden administration, and for the president in less than a year to bring it down from that to essentially zero is an amazing accomplishment. As a matter of fact, a few minutes ago, I was actually on the phone with Secretary Nome, who's in charge of the Department of Homeland Security, talking about that success and thanking her for that, and also telling her I've been talking to local law enforcement in Oklahoma that work regularly with immigration, custom enforcement. We have a lot of drug traffic that comes up out of our southern border. We have a lot of human traffic that comes up along I-35, and we're appreciative of the help of federal officials working closely with our local law enforcement. I actually told her, talking to many of the people in our local county sheriffs and our local highway patrol and stuff like that, that had an excellent working relationship with men and women of Homeland Security that, you know, we're appreciative of the help. So with that area, that's the one portion of the budget. It's only funded literally through the end of next week. You know, hopefully there's going to be a negotiation. I think it's already underway between the president and, frankly, Democrats in the Senate, because we can pass this funding through the House. We've already done it once. It's the Senate where you have to get to 60, and we only have 53 Republicans, where the main negotiation will occur. So anything, I think, that's agreed to between the president and the Senate, both Republicans and Democrats, probably can pass the House. And you know, we'll work on that when that happens. But we're not really a central part of that negotiation because, again, we've passed Homeland funding through the House. We passed the shorter version the Senate sent back, but we're prepared at any moment to provide the votes that would be required to fully fund Homeland. Now, this is a little bit of a complex situation because the parts of the Homeland Security that Democrats are maddest about, ICE, Customs, and Enforcement, are already funded. They were funded in the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. So Border Patrol's taken care of, internal immigration controls taken care of. There's actually some things in the bill that we sent to the Senate that I hope are put in the final version. We sent language and resources for body cameras. We think that's helpful to everybody. Frankly, I would tell you 9 times out of 10, if you got a body camera, the police officer's gonna look pretty good. You'll see what they're dealing with and what the situation is. And on the 10th time, if somebody's done something wrong, we wanna know that too, so we can fix it. But usually, my experience is body cams protect the police because they show that they're professional and they're doing their jobs, sometimes under very difficult and very dangerous situations. So we had that in the bill, and we thought that would reassure the Democrats to some degree. It was actually a suggestion they made, and we said, we agree, let's put that in there. And we also had some additional money for training to lower the tension, what's called de-escalation training. And we, by the way, saved some money since we had money in other parts of the bill for immigration, excuse me, in the Big Beautiful Bill for immigration. Then we didn't need quite as much, so we actually saved about $600 million. Those savings don't exist right now because the bill we passed through the House did not pass through the Senate. So Congress is going to be focused on this when we get back, but again, the challenge is largely in the Senate, and it's largely there because the Senate filibuster requires a vote of 60, and we only have 53. In the House, as narrow as our majority is, we're very united on this issue, and frankly, we've had some good help from Democrats, not many of them, but a handful of them also, particularly from border areas, are concerned about this and want their communities secure. So it's a big political issue, but the day-to-day operation of the government, as you know it, has been funded. The things that we've saved some money overall, we're spending a little bit less money than we did last year, but the things that are important to Oklahoma, National Weather Center got an increase in funding. Tinker Air Force Base, additional money for construction for new missions that are coming on, and all its missions fully funded. Fort Sill Army Post, exactly the same thing. And then lots of our communities, you'll see improvements like we see at Max Westheimer at Norman, that are federal investments in our infrastructure, water systems, roads, and airports in particular have done especially well in this bill. I particularly also want to commend, we worked very closely with our entire delegation on this, but especially Stephanie Weiss, who's my fellow appropriator and was just terrific in this, especially Mark Wayne Mullen, who serves on the Appropriations Committee in the Senate, and he was able to get some things into eastern Oklahoma and other parts that we couldn't do, that are outside our jurisdiction, but we could make sure if he can get them in the Senate bill, I can protect them in the House bill, and we were able to do that very effectively. And then, Mark, I always mention Frank Lucas because he's just always a partner in everything that we do, and nobody looks after Western Oklahoma like Frank Lucas does. So we've had a very successful week as a country, I think, by getting this funding done in a bipartisan, bicameral way. But Oklahoma's had a very, very good week in terms of individual projects and important federal missions that are carried out within the boundaries of our state being fully funded, and important research in places like the University of Oklahoma getting special funding, like the Oklahoma or University of Oklahoma Medical Complex in Oklahoma City. So there's been a lot of good things done. With that, I expect a very interesting next week. I hope we can finish this Homeland Security thing, or I hope if we can't, we extend the funding for a few more weeks. It's unconscionable to me that we don't fund. And remember, in this Homeland Security bill, there's a raise for air traffic controllers. I don't know who deserves it more. There's the funding for the men and women, that when you go to the airport, you're going through security that both facilitates you and protects you. You're at the same time. That we've got money in the FEMA fund. So if we have a disaster someplace in Oklahoma, we know what living through tornadoes and tornado season is like, and we're on the verge of that now, that the federal resources are there to respond and help people who are in difficult problems. And we're not a coastal state. I don't know anybody in Oklahoma that doesn't like the Coast Guard and doesn't think those men and women deserve to be paid and deserve the raise that's in their bill. So we're going to be working hard to make sure those things are funded, or if we can't get to a deal by the end of the week, that we can extend that, beyond, so that they can go continue their duties while these other things are argued out and hashed out. They should not be held hostage. They should get their paychecks. Their missions are important, and that's our job on the Appropriations Committee. I think we're about 95% done. We want to get that last 5% taken care of it. So in the meantime, we'll keep you posted, and good luck. Good luck to your families. God bless, and I hope everyone's safe and secure. And look forward to chatting with you again soon.